you get into the whole, humans are the height of God's creation. Well, fuck that, because, who says, what, the Bible? They have to prove it. And I'm sorry that they just, they haven't, It's just like, prove to me that, some animal's life is worth more than humans. Give me objective figures that prove that a human's life is more than a sheep's, a pig's, a chicken's, or a dog's.
Well, what do you mean objective figures? You're talking about quantifying the value of life? How the hell would you do that anyway?
Well, that's my point. You can't quantify the value of life. But see, religious people, specifically the cult that I was born and raised into, think that they can. They think that that humans are the top of the evolutionary food chain, and that they are the height of God's creation, and that anything lower than them, doesn't have a place on the ethics of life. And, it's fucking bullshit. That's why I'm an ethical vegetarian, because I can't distinguish between my life and some sheep's or pig's or chicken's life. And, they make fun of me and, whatever. But, unless you can objectively quantify what qualifies as a meaningful sentient life, then, you just need to shut the fuck up.
Oh, whatever. Who the fuck cares about life, okay? Life without any definition is meaningless anyway, alright? You're not going to set the cows free, okay? Because they're genetically, you don't even fit in any kind of natural environment anyway. So their destiny is already doomed anyway. It's not about their fucking life, it's about their goddamn welfare. And we can certainly quantify that. It's not unquantifiable. We can put things on a scale. It's not that hard to do.
Yeah, I know, Gary, but
what are you going to say, that you're no better? You're going to say that your welfare is no more important than a bug? So if I cause you suffering, it's no different than a bug suffering? That would be stupid. Of course it's different. It's not. You might not be a million times better, but you're probably more important than a bug. If I had to make a choice between you getting harmed or a bug getting harmed, it's probably the rational thing to do to say, yeah, harm the bug.
Yeah, I know, Gary, but I'm dealing with, people in a belief system that thinks that the human being is the penultimate of creation. We're not dealing with people who even give credence to the evolutionary principle. We're dealing with people who believe that some supreme being created life. I understand what you're saying, and I agree with it.
It's not a religious problem. The problem isn't religion. The problem is human, whatever the right word for that is. But yeah, having a lousy value system. People value the thing that doesn't matter, and they ignore the thing that does matter. The only thing that does matter is this capacity to be harmed. Okay, so I'm just saying that it doesn't. You don't need religion to be incapable of understanding harm. Okay, there's plenty of non-religious people causing creatures lots of harm and laughing about it.
But you have to, you have to acknowledge that the majority of people in this country who believe in the Judeo-Christian God think that the, human being is the penultimate of,
That's not even a good way to put it. We're obviously fucking smarter than the fucking animals. We obviously have penultimate qualities. That's right. We're intelligent. We have language. We have 10,000 years of civilization. We landed on the fucking moon. So we have some penultimate qualities that you can't deny. Okay, whether or not that entitles us to eat other creatures and cause them harm is a whole separate question. So don't bleed these things into each other, because that's exactly what these, like I said, it isn't a religious conclusion. It's a like I said, there's just as many atheists eating meat as there are Christians.
Well, no, I agree with you, but I mean, I'm up against people who are thinking that the human being is at the top of the evolutionary ladder. They don't see a difference between their life and a pig's life. And where I come having problems is when I can try to convince them that they're suffering and a chicken's or a pig's suffering is indistinguishable. I mean, if you can feel emotion, if you can feel pain, then you can suffer. But they, kind of like what they do to you. They look at me like I'm crazy. And, that's all I'm saying is that, just because, humans seem to be, I'm not saying that they are, seem to be, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but, when you try to come at them with, ethical living and ethical vegetarianism and an ethical worldview, they look at you like you're some, hippie, hairy liberal.
Well, you aren't talking like one, though. That's the problem, though, is you got to be a little more careful about the rhetoric, because you're over-arguing the point. All right, people aren't stupid, and they know they are different. And so if you're not gonna concede the difference, you're already gonna fail in your argument, because you're just opening the door for their counter argument, which is I can tell the difference between me and a fucking pig.
Okay, please tell me that. Okay, please give me an argument to present to people who think that they are separated from the rest of the animal life on the planet and think that they are some, higher being that has been, God-given, right to be supreme on this planet, when you and I both know that they're not. So, please tell me not only how to argue against that there's, that there is a God, but that they're no different than the pigs, chickens, and cows that they kill and eat. I mean, seriously, help me out.
But again, you're not arguing carefully enough, okay? So I'm sorry. You're just being too sloppy, that they aren't different. They are different. So the argument has to be about the fact that you can cause harm, and that whether a pig is half as valuable or a third as valuable or 1/10 as valuable as a human being, its welfare, its capacity to feel, however you want to diminish it, the point is it still has sensitive, harmable points. And so every time you harm one, you're creating harm. So, I mean, how many does it have to take? Well, maybe in your brain it takes 10 or it takes 100 before it starts to equal one retarded human being, or then whatever the standard is. But the bottom line is what's your impact on the world? Did you create more harm in other organisms than you did comfort in other organisms? And that's all that's going to matter. There's no God to impose justice. Okay. There's no fucking penalty that's going to be imposed for being an asshole. It's only going to be a fact of your life. You're either going to be an asshole who causes more harm and suffering than you prevent, or you're not. Those are your two choices.
Okay, Gary, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I've been watching your videos for months, and I agree with you. But, help me argue against this, because when you're dealing with religious people, I mean, this is a showstopper, because all they go beyond is this. I mean, as long as the scriptures say
that's just a rationalization, okay? It wouldn't matter. They don't believe in that in the first place. All right? They don't invest any real part. They don't invest any real part of their life in any of that bullshit. Okay? If it compromises their life a little tiny bit, they rewrite that book, and you goddamn know it. It says 7 times in that fucking book. Okay, the odds of a rich man getting to the kingdom of heaven are those of a camel going through the eye of a needle. It says it 7 fucking times. Now show me the Christian that believes that. None.
Well, that's just the thing. They don't believe it. They just rationalize it away. And see, I mean, that's why religion persists to this day, because they just rationalize it away. They don't give a shit about rational arguments. And I'm tired and I've
They
got
don't
headaches
care a
and
shit
feet.
about the whole thing. They don't care about God, okay? They don't care. They're not religious. They have no faith in God. They're using it as a placeholder. All right? Because it does glorify their existence, and it gives
Because
them
it's
this hope.
comfortable.
And it gives them hope that they can, just through this social organization, they're part of a social club. It gives them networking, gives them comfort, and might even give them some little fake daydream that, oh yeah, well, I'm there's some sort of payoff. But most of them are sinners anyway, so they know that they're not going to win in God's eyes anyway. They wouldn't. They know if they actually did the "what would Jesus say" thing, if they were doing that in their head all day, they know they would fail the test all over the fucking place.
Well, they're
not living
true,
Jesus'
but they're
life.
fucking
They're not living
inflicting
based on
suffering.
Jesus' principles. Well, I'm just saying, so it wouldn't matter if you got rid of the fucking religion. They'd still rationalize their behavior. Is my point? Okay, they'd still be bigoted against gays, and they'd still have a problem with abortion because it's other people having sex. And they don't want other people to have sex. I mean, they're bigots. They're fucking introverted, socially crippled assholes, and they'd still be exactly that, even if you took their religion away.
Well, I don't know what to fucking do, because, the people that I deal with, they don't go beyond what's in this fucking stupid.
Well, that's their fucking argument. They're not going to give you an argument beyond that because that's their easy way to avoid the argument. So you're not getting my point. My point is you can't argue that with them, okay? Because it's not negotiable. All right, that's their rationalization. They're not going to let it go, and you can't defeat it. So you're done. That's why they're using it.
Let me
You
ask
just
you a
have to go to
question.
the more basic argument and just say, well, just as they're calling you a sinner for your lifestyle, you just have to explain to them the simple logic that it doesn't matter whether there's a God to judge you. Okay, there's a value to your existence. All right, and you will be an asshole. That's what history will write on your grave, is asshole. Live with that.
Well,
You
you
have to
know
make
what?
that kind of argument.
I'm fucking used to being called an asshole. I've been called an asshole for a long time because I'm trying to, get people a reason beyond what was written 2,000 years ago by a bunch of illiterate, stupid fucking tribesmen in the fucking desert. And, it's just like, I don't know. You know what? I'm sounding like an idiot, so I'm gonna stop now and just gonna let you guys take over, because, this is getting really fucking old.
Yeah, but before you do that, answer a question for me. I mean, you're never going to have a satisfactory conclusion to an argument with somebody, whose answer is going to be chapter, number X, verse number Y. Right? And I, frankly, don't argue with people like that very much. But apparently you have to, because, what is it? You have obviously some personal connection to people who want to argue like that. So
Yes, the majority of my family, friends, whatever the fuck. And I live in the middle of the Bible Belt.
Well, so do I, sort of. But I don't find myself arguing too often with people who will quote scripture in a context like that.
Yeah, the argument's much more. This is much more subtle. Like I say, it's the argument. It's not about the religion. It's about the validation of a life and excuse making and rationalizations. So people will use the Bible to rationalize their capitalism. They'll use it as it's a way of validating a lifestyle they're devoted to. They're comfortable with.
Yeah, but you can't argue with people who are pulling shit out of their ass, Gary.
There's no point in arguing something with them. I'm just saying there's no point in arguing with somebody when they're using a rationalization. You cannot defeat a rationalization, is my argument. Because the person who's giving you the rationalization already knows it's a fucking lie. So arguing with them when they already know it's bullshit isn't going to go anywhere, is it? They already don't believe in God. So there's no point in you trying to convince them there's no God, because they already don't believe in the damn God.
I don't know about that, but the question you asked Gary